In this video, I'm going to drop some tips on the importance of stillness in your auditions because a lot of great work can be lost in unnecessary movements, especially in a close-up. I'm Anonymous from Anonymous Actor Tips, where I help you get on TV, in films, and on stage. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any tricks of the trade. Let's get it. So when I first started auditioning for TV and film roles in New York, a common note I would get from casting directors was, "You're doing great, just do less. Try it again." This always threw me. I was like, what do you mean? Do they mean make smaller choices, lower my voice? It was this weird, enigmatic note that I always got, but I was young and less assertive at the time, so I just smiled and said, okay, yeah, sure. Because one, I didn't want them to know that I had no idea what they were talking about, and two, I wanted them to think I was a professional who could take a note. Pro tip: never do an audition if you have any major questions about a scene or your character. Casting directors are very busy people, but they love questions if they're important to your understanding of the material. They want you to give your best performance. But at the time, because I never pressed them on what they meant, on my second take, I would usually just pull back emotionally or give a more neutral, safe read. It took me a while and an expensive class on 27th Street and 6th Ave, you know who you are, to learn that what these casting directors wanted was stillness. It was that simple. I never realized how much I moved when I worked. My head was constantly bobbing and moving as I was saying my lines, and even when I was listening, there were these weird, unnecessary tilts of my head. Call it nervous energy, but I was all over the place in the frame. When you're in a close-up, even slight movements can appear large. And keep in mind, when you book your dream job, your work will be seen all over a 42 to 70-inch large screen TV in someone's living room if it's a TV show, and if it's a movie, a massive 50-foot wide by 30-foot tall screen in a movie theater. Any major movements will be amplified on a huge screen in a close-up. But back to New York. So I take this class with this excellent teacher, and 2 seconds after watching my first tape, I noticed 2 things immediately. 1, way too much unnecessary movement, and 2, I blinked a lot. I had no idea I was blinking 15 to 20 times in a short 2-page scene. I mean, it was ridiculous. When you're in a close-up, it's hard to follow a story, and especially an actor's eyes, when there's too much movement, and when they're constantly blinking. Check out this scene from Inglourious Basterds, then we'll talk more.
I might add also that any information that makes a performance of my duty easier will not be met with punishment. Actually, quite the contrary. It will be met with reward. And that reward will be your family will cease to be harassed in any way by the German military during the rest of our occupation of your country. You're sheltering enemies of the state, are you not? Yes. You're sheltering them underneath your floorboards, aren't you? Yes. Point out to me the areas where they're hiding.
Okay, so first of all, if you're just starting out and only have a couple credits under your belt, don't be intimidated by this level of work. This is literally Oscar caliber work, as Christoph Waltz, who played Colonel Hans Landa, won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for this role. And the guy across from him, Denis, who played the French farmer Perrier Lapédite, he did an absolutely masterful job in this scene. But what did you notice? The only subtle movements in the scene come from the camera zooming in ever so slowly on both men. It's not because of the actors moving that we feel the movement, it's from the camera. Colonel Landa comes off as so intimidating in this moment because of his stillness. His movements are infinitesimal, yet we know the exact moment when he knows that Monsieur Lapédite is harboring enemies of the state. How does he do this? It's like this ever so slight shift. We see him thinking. It's brilliant work. And on the other side is Lapédite, who is frozen in fear. The only thing that moves is his mouth when he speaks. And one slight little look off to the right with his eyes, because the line of questioning is so potentially dangerous and lethal that he can't hold Landa's stare. Also, notice how because of their masterful stillness, each inhale and exhale feels so magnified. You might be watching this on a laptop or on a phone, but when I saw this movie opening weekend back in New York, I could literally feel Lapidite's breathing because I'm seeing it in a huge theater on a huge screen. The tension is just extraordinary. And another thing, we don't lose any moments because of excessive blinking. We can see right into their souls the entire time because their eyes are almost always wide open. Now, I'm not saying that every scene in your movie or show or audition will require this extreme level of stillness. And I'm not saying that, you need to be a total statue the whole time. But when you're in a close up and it's a climactic moment of the scene, especially if you know they're zooming in on you into an extreme close up, try to minimize movements as much as you can, or else the shot won't have as much punch to it. You stay as still as possible, and it's just your mouth moving when you have to say a line. The rest of it, it's in your eyes. Morgan Freeman said that one of the major challenges of film acting is being emotionally full and still at the same time. In this scene, Lapidite is literally dealing with life and death. The stakes do not get any higher, yet he's able to stay massively still and give us all of that emotion right through his eyes. Stillness is something that you can practice every day. All you have to do is set up your camera, give yourself a mark on the wall, look slightly off camera, and if you have a monologue ready to go, just do the monologue and record it and see how still you are. And when you watch the playback, you might be shocked with how well you do, or you might be shocked with how much movement there is in your work. I'm usually shocked with how much movement there is, even when I feel like I'm an absolute statue. It takes a really long time to master, though. When Anthony Hopkins did Silence of the Lambs and won his Oscar for playing Hannibal Lecter, he said it took him 20 years to have the discipline to be able to be as still as he needed to be to do that role. But one more idea that I would like to share with you is that when you do minimize your movements throughout a scene, or even during a section of a scene, when you do choose to move, whether it be with your arm, whether it be with your head, it could be a slight jarring move forward, it could be anything. But when you haven't moved a lot during a scene, then when you choose to move, based on the script, based on what your character wants to do, based on what your motivations are, those moments will just be even that much more jarring and shocking and surprising, and the payoffs will be that much more rewarding. So you always want to try to strive to use movements productively to help tell the story, not randomly because of nerves. Okay, I lied. One more piece of information I want to share with you about Stillness. It's not just reserved for creepy or intimidating characters. In short, use it when you want to win over your love interest.
I'm gonna make this quick. I came here for you. I want to get on with my life. I want you with me.
You're a thief and a liar.
I only lied about being a thief. I don't do that anymore.
Steal.
Lie.
I'm with someone now who doesn't have to make that kind of distinction.
No, he's very clear on both.
You know what your problem is?
I only have one.
You've met too many people like you. I'm with Terry now.
Does he make you laugh?
Now, this scene isn't shot in an extreme close-up like the other two examples, but it's still pretty tight. Notice how little he moves. It's all in his charm, it's all in his smile, it's on his gaze. All of that love and hope of reconciliation comes right through his eyes. It's the same thing. So there you have it. Those are some of the reasons why stillness is so crucial in certain setups, especially close-ups and tight shots. Thanks for being here. I hope you learned something, and make sure to subscribe for more tips and tricks on how to navigate your acting career. To my thespian brothers and sisters, I salute you, break a leg, and have a great day.